Mhm.
So, hi everyone. Welcome back to Nordic Coffee Chats. I'm Lesley.
And I'm Kathy.
This podcast is for you to help you thrive, to help you find your people, and hopefully have a little dose of humor as we do it and as we share with our nearly 20 plus years of living in Denmark. We'd love to share what we've learned and what we've been through. And today we want to talk about how to stay motivated, how to look after your well-being while you're doing the job search. And that's a tough one. I don't know, how did you, when you were here in the early years, Kathy, how did you cope with the job search? What kept you motivated?
I love this question. I had, we had our ups and downs. We've talked about that, but I had a horrendous time. It was just really tough. I think it was really difficult because I came with this premise that I would find a job very easily and it would take no time. And so as the months started piling up, I started thinking, well, I guess I'm not really someone who has any skills or value because no one even wants to have an interview with me. And there were a lot of moments where I just thought, this is ridiculous. Maybe I'll just never find a job here. And then what's the point? We started rethinking our stay in Denmark. What really helped me was talking to Danes when I got to that point where I was listening, because I had a lot of people helping me and telling me things, but I was not listening for a long time. I was in a mode of, I know what to do and I can do this. But when I actually started listening to the advice, things started moving along and working. So I would say really being open to advice from people, and they don't have to be Danes, they could also be people like us who have been here for a long time, but listening to what they're saying. It may not align with what you think is right, but because they have been in that culture longer, they will know. And if they're sharing, they're just trying to help. They're not criticizing. What about
Yeah,
you?
I think we feel like it sometimes is criticism, isn't it? Or you'll get the same sort of comments, which are, oh, have you tried international companies? As if, we haven't thought of those things. And so your defenses can sometimes go up. But I definitely feel like, because I was like you, I really struggled in those early years. I just couldn't work out how to do it. These unwritten rules of
Yeah,
finding a job in Denmark. And I think getting advice from people who actually know what they're doing. I think when I hear conversations with people, they say, oh, my friend told me to do my CV like this because they've got a job. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's that one sort of size fits all.
yeah, totally.
Try and get professional advice from somebody who's in acquisition, hiring managers, something like that, where they can give you advice on what actually works and what they're looking for.
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
going to help you as well. Because
And I
it's
think
tough, it's
using
really hard.
resources, right? There,
Yeah.
there are so many resources out there now. I don't think we had as much when we came to Denmark. I think now you can find really, as you said, professional help, professional tools, going and talking to people, networking. That was also the thing that really helped me when I started networking, when I started actually going out and meeting people, not being afraid to join, a conference or to go. I volunteered. I remember in Odense, I volunteered quite a bit for different things as well. And I got to know people through that as well. So just really making sure that we don't allow ourselves to sit at home, lock ourselves in the house, and focus on sending out CVs and motivational letters. We have to go out of the house. I think that's the only way people will know, okay, we exist. This is what we offer. This
Yeah.
is who we are, right? And connecting face to
Yeah.
face, we know this. That's the best way. Did you do
Yeah,
that?
well, in the early years, remember there was Facebook had just started. There was no networking events that we could use. There was no, I don't think International House. I mean, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I didn't know where to go for resources. It
Yeah.
was just the job centre.
Yeah.
And the job centre was just, here's a card with the job portals on. Here you go. Because if you're not in the system here, so
Yeah.
you haven't been paying into an ACASA, so when you find yourself unemployed, you get all the support. You don't have that
No.
if you just arrive. So there was no sort of support. Now there's a lot more support from the job centre. There's courses of support. There's the your first job in Denmark course run by the Communa here, and so there's a lot of things going on that can help you. But I think for us in those early days, there really wasn't anything. But networking is far more important than it ever was.
Yeah.
The job market is brutal. That's the only way I can describe it. And somebody said to me, I was at my workshop on Wednesday, we talk about personal values using AI, that sort of type of thing to job seekers on Wednesday. And somebody said, thank you for being honest about the job market. Everyone's saying it's okay and this and that. And I said, well, there are sectors that are
Yeah.
thriving. The tech sector, that type of thing is thriving. But generally, it's really tough. She said, thank you for being honest. And I thought, well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for
No.
you. And I think networking, improving your visibility, really getting out there, I can't stress that enough. It's far more than it's ever been. So
Fully agree.
the traditional route of just sending your CV and still, of course, works. You're sending it to an organization and getting interviewed that way. But actually, that's quite a small part. When I look at how my clients are getting jobs, it's through knowing somebody who talked to somebody who helped them
Exactly.
introduce them, recommended them. And
Exactly.
that's how it's very much so working now.
So
Yeah.
coffee meetings.
Yeah. Coffee meetings, people think it's like a little interview or I'm going to take my CV and we're going to talk about this. It's far more about having a relationship, asking about the organization, how's the team developing, what sort of team, asking about the individuals, where do you see there's a gap? Where do you think, what part are you looking for that can add to your team? What you're trying to, what's your
But
mission,
also,
that
how did
type of
you
thing.
start, right?
Yeah,
What worked for
exactly.
you? I mean, it's
Yeah.
basically, I always say it's having your curiosity hat on.
Mm.
It's not, hi, I'm here to get a job. It's really, I would like to find out more about the company organization, about your daily life there. What did you do? How did you get this job? So I think I fully agree with you. People misunderstand what the idea is.
Yeah, definitely. So there's definitely the networking side. I think trying to, I always say to clients, and every time I do a workshop, your job search is Monday to Friday. It's a job trying to find a job. Have the weekends off like everyone else.
Yes.
You can't go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because you will get burnt out. You'll do what I did in those early days where I just felt guilty if I didn't apply for jobs every day.
Yeah.
So I'll be applying for anything and everything, completely inappropriate jobs that just wouldn't be right for me. And then I just gave up to the point where I didn't do anything. I'd drop my little boy off at nursery, come home, and I'd get into bed and watch TV. I joke about watching Dr. Phil and I laugh about it now, but honestly, I was depressed.
I
I
know.
was genuinely really not in a good place because I just gave up and I don't want anyone to get to that stage.
No.
But you've got some great ideas of how people can stay motivated in their
Yeah.
job search through the day.
And it goes along with, I mean, you definitely, that point of you saying that job searching is a job. It is a full-time job. And even though we have this very negative, nagging voice that will say, well, that's not true because I'm not getting paid, I'm not really working. How can we say that? But it takes an immense amount of energy to be applying for jobs, to be writing CVs, writing cover letters, hopefully networking, calling people, getting out of the house. That takes a lot out of us. And then also, of course, dealing with the fact that we don't always hear back. We get rejections. So, how do we cope with that? I would say that what is very helpful is having routines. I think if we don't have routines, we can easily just spiral, right? So making sure that we have a calendar. We need a calendar where we schedule things. It can be scheduling networking from 9 to 10, for example, Tuesdays, Thursdays. You have a full calendar that you can put things in. And as you said, Friday afternoon, you shut everything off and then you also spend time recharging. So, routines, getting up at a certain time, making sure your calendar is filled with things that you're doing so that you can also see progress. Oftentimes, we hear job searchers say, well, I didn't really do much, I didn't really do anything, because they don't have an overview of what their tasks were throughout the week, right? If you can have that, then it's very helpful. I
Yeah.
think being realistic and making sure that we are focusing on what we have control over.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I
Yeah.
know it can be tough.
Yeah. We can't control the job market.
No.
We can't create jobs. We can't control what's happening out there. We can't, the only, like I say all the time, is you can only manage yourself. How you're doing the job search, what is your job search strategy? How you're putting into place structure like you're talking about and having this Monday to Friday. I think that's what you can control.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having, the support around you. But we'll talk about that in a second. But the structure I think is so
Yeah.
important.
The
So important.
mindset,
Yeah.
right? Which this all helps. So structure is key. And then also, basic things like that also gives you peace of mind, making sure you're PDFing your job ads, making sure you have an Excel sheet with people you want to contact. So it's not a mess. So you can
Yeah.
easily go in and see who have I talked to, who do I need to follow up with, so that it's nicely organized. It's so helpful. And that also helps us with the work that we're doing, right? When we're job searching.
Yeah.
And with structure and having routines, there's also well-being routines. I think it's really important for people to make sure that they are moving their bodies, that they are getting
Yeah.
outside on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any excuses now with spring coming
No.
and almost here. Um, Taking small breaks. You don't have to take 4 hours if you want to. You probably should if you feel that you need that. But you can be working on a job ad
Yeah.
or a cover letter and then go outside for half an hour, go for a run, go for a walk, get groceries on your bicycle. Make sure you're moving your body. You will see a difference in energy as well when you take a
Yeah.
break. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important. I think it's just really good to, you know, take time to look after yourself.
Hmm.
It's so difficult to job search, especially if you feel like you're doing it on your own.
Yeah.
And you've got this structure day to day, which is great. You spend time on LinkedIn, seeing who's out there, who's commenting, try and comment on posts. It really helps you with your visibility. The
Yep.
algorithm's loving it. You don't have to create a post and think, what can I talk about? You can just comment on people's posts. So there's looking on LinkedIn, there's looking through the job ads, but
Yep.
also try and find and create a targeted job list. So you're looking at organizations that would be a good fit for you. So if you don't speak Danish, then you have to find organizations where English is the language. They might need Spanish, they might need Romanian. So think about which organizations you're an asset, know what you can add to it. So, and have a list. So have a list. Glassdoor does a lovely job for you of doing that. And just put in the type of role, where you want to live, the size of organization. It comes at a massive list in Denmark. It's easy. So a list of where you'd have to apply, and then a list of organisations where you can apply unsolicited.
Yeah.
No, small to medium, say, I really believe I'd be a great fit for your team, and here's why. Do
Hmm.
your research on all these organisations. So,
Exactly.
so on the days where there's nothing to apply for, you feel like, oh, there's nothing to apply for, find those organisations that maybe you can create an opportunity, an internship. For a month, 3 months, can I come in and just showcase how I can help you? They
Exactly.
might be able to take you on for a short term, and you never know, it might develop from there.
Yep.
But it's just creating lots of opportunities for yourself. So you feel like you're very proactive. And if you're like me and you're like a tick box, you like to see, I did this today, this today, this today. No, we're all different, right? But it's give yourself a sense of achievement. That's a win. Create a list of organizations, tick box, massive win this week.
Yes.
I've found organizations that are a good fit for me. It's not one way.
Yeah.
It's where do you fit
Like,
in, and which organization is going to fit you.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's so important, right? Because we often also hear with job searchers that, oh, I need a job, and it's a two-way street. They
Yeah.
need what you are offering, but you also have to think about, do I want to work in this place? Is this a good place for me? Right? Have every right for that. So I think it's important also to allow yourself to respect yourself, right? If you're job searching, it's not just about getting a job. I know that for some people, sometimes there's a clock ticking and they need something. But I think the more we have that attitude, the more of the right opportunities also show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you've got more connections.
Hmm.
You're reaching out to people. So when you actually find an organization that you like, you've made a connection. You might have met them at an event. It could, I mean, I went to the comedy zoo the other night and it was great fun. You can start chatting to people there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be about the job search. You can go to events where you can have some fun. Go learn Danish. There's so many great people out there doing these, gaming place. We can play games and speak Danish and
Yeah,
Gentoft to do a like little dance cafe. There's lots of places where you're going to meet people, have conversations. So when
exactly.
you do come to apply, go, oh, they work there or they've worked there. Maybe you can ask them what it's like to work in that organization. Is it a good fit for me?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. But what do you say to, because I've heard people say, okay, I'm not working, so I don't really deserve to, spend money on myself or join this club or go and be part of an association or a sports club. I actually had a conversation with someone who was saying that they enjoy sport, and then he said, yeah, but I can't, be a part of that club because I'm not earning any money, so that's not right.
yeah. And I definitely think in the early days, although I was EU then, sorry, British people, but it was EU then. And I obviously had money because I'd sold my apartment, I'd got married, I'd moved here to marry my Danish husband. So I had money, but I felt guilty spending even a coffee because I wasn't working, I wasn't contributing to the
Yeah.
household. But I would look back and say to myself now, it's actually okay to go and have a coffee and go for a walk. So you might not be able to afford a club, but there's a lot of stuff out there that's for very, very small value, a lot of value, but for a very small price.
Yeah.
And actually, you can meet with somebody in a library. Why don't we job search together in the library? It's completely free. You can bring your own drink, you can bring your own water, your own lunch, whatever. You don't have to pay anything, but actually, you could create a little community. We obviously with my organization, that's what I do, as you know, with English Job Denmark, and we
Yeah.
create this community connect. It's around 50 kroner a week. That's all it costs. For 6 weeks, you get to be with a community. We're starting it on the 19th of March for 6 weeks. But
Amazing.
I've kept it small for those people who can't invest in me on a one-to-one because I want everyone to have an
Yeah.
opportunity. But it's a place where I know we've got, out of the last two cohorts we've done, the last 12 weeks, we've got 5 people in jobs because they feel like
Wow.
motivated. So once a week, you feel motivated.
Yes.
You go to a professional space, you feel like you're getting out the door, you've got a mission, you're going to learn something, you're going to share your struggles. You can sit and cry in our groups, you can sit, celebrate. It's a safe space. And I think that's what people need.
Yeah.
So try and look at your budget and see how can I spend my budget? What's going to be the best way for me to
Yeah.
stay motivated, but get the best out of the opportunity? And think about, where do you want to go and what do you want to do? But there's a lot of stuff out there
There
which
is.
wouldn't cost you anything. Yeah.
But I think this is exactly what you're saying is so, so vital. We cannot thrive fully alone. I think if you are job searching and day in and day out, you're in your house by yourself, that that motivation, the energy will be drained very quickly. Having other people around a support system, join Leslie's community if you think it's right for you. I know she's amazing and you have really great people there. We need that. We cannot do it alone. And no one else understands a job searcher like another job searcher. So that's also something
True.
I mentioned. Spouses, partners,
Yeah.
they're great, but oftentimes they are on a different journey and they don't fully understand. So if you have people who can give you input, motivate you, support you, that is really, really a step that I think is necessary and also having more energy for that big task of job searching. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you come as an accompanying partner or spouse, your partner goes off to work every day and they're meeting people, making connections, they're building their life, they're thriving in their job.
Yeah.
And then you're there thinking, all right, how do I find my tribe? How do I find my job? How do I find my community when you don't have that basis? So I think when you're looking at the different organizations out there or where you can volunteer, depending on your visa, obviously,
Yeah.
but where can you volunteer? Like Kathy, you volunteered in the early days. I did. I volunteered with a few organizations here just to get me out the door, to be honest.
Exactly.
It was an opportunity to chat to people and they go, what are you looking for? How can we help you? And I actually, my early jobs were all through, whether it was through my Danish family introducing me to their friends or through friends giving me their Danish lessons because I don't use them. I ended up teaching English with an organization through that. You build a network, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to cost money.
No.
Yeah, if you don't have it, or you feel guilty for spending money. I get that. I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. But exactly, right? Think smart. If you
Yeah.
have people here, who do those people know that could potentially allow you to have a coffee meeting? Or if you
Yeah.
are, because we also have people who are just not comfortable with reaching out to, people they don't know. So think
Yeah.
of it that way. Okay, who do I know that I'm comfortable with that I could ask? Do they know anyone that I could potentially contact, right? So
Yeah.
as you're saying, you don't have to spend hundreds and thousands of kronas on networks, on, also making sure that you're being active, connecting with people. There are so many different ways of doing that. And I
Yeah.
think it's always also good to, Google in your local area where you're living, what's going on there. Is there anything on the municipality page? Is there,
Yeah.
so you can often find things that are very low cost or even for free where you could go and join. And as you said, volunteering, people are looking to meet Danes, volunteer. You will
Yeah.
most likely find some Danes.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's all different ways to do it. And when you're thinking about the communities as well, there's a new international house at Oldesloe now.
Yeah,
They're recognizing,
yeah,
they're wanting to do as much as they can to help their internationals living there and accompanying spouses and partners coming. They're doing a great job over in Aarhus. It's not just all about Copenhagen.
yeah,
Obviously, Copenhagen's the capital, so there's going to be more going on here. But there's other cities here across Denmark doing a fantastic job to welcome
exactly.
internationals. Um, so, when you're looking at statistics, I was looking at statistics the other week when I was at an event on Friday, and they were saying that in the sort of Copenhagen area, and that, within 2 years, nearly half of all internationals leave
Yeah,
because their partners doesn't settle.
exactly.
It's not because they're not enjoying the job. It's generally because their partner can't settle. And that's so sad when you're investing as an organization into bringing people here and then losing them after a couple of years because there's no program or facilities or they're aware of trying to build, the family life suffers because they just don't feel, can't get a job, can't find their tribe, don't know what's out there. And I was very much the same. I didn't have Facebook or Eventbrite, whatever it was, to find
Yeah,
stuff in those early days. It was literally through people saying, "Oh, have you thought about this?" or
exactly.
meeting somebody and then being introduced to an organization or where I could volunteer or help. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as us being golden oldies, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
we've said this for so many years and we know it from our own lives, but happy spouse is a happy house.
Yeah.
So it is very often the key of, now we're coming into the retention part, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. Oftentimes highly experienced talent comes with a unit. They don't come alone. And
Yeah.
recognizing that is so
Yeah.
important.
There's loads of great organisations out there trying to speak on this. And I mean, I'm part of most of it, as are you, Kathy, with your organisation. But I just it makes me really sad when I'm at International Citizen Days once a year, and I have people come and talk to me who've been looking for a job for a year,
Yeah.
and I say, "Have you had any support? Have you had any help? Who have you talked to?" Oh, no one. And I don't have time to unpack it and find out if is it because they don't want to spend money? They feel, or they're shy. If you're an introvert, walking into a networking event can be really tough. I get that. I'm an extrovert. It's different for me. I know
Mhm.
that. But there's a lot of introvert. I think, oh gosh, another networking event where I have to talk to people. It's not easy. Sometimes cultures are, you don't feel like you want to push yourself forward. You've got all of those things going on. And it makes me sad that there's nothing where they feel like they can reach out or who they can talk to. So how can we reach those people? But I think it is a step of bravery. Just go to one event, take that step, go to one event, just speak to one person,
Yeah.
have a
Or,
small win.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Or ask family members,
yeah,
friends,
yeah,
Danish people that you know or your spouse knows.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think if you were me, who would you reach out to? Do you have anyone maybe potentially? So yeah, just think what works for you. But
Yeah.
I think the well-being part is
Mm.
overlooked. I think people push themselves really hard. Oh, I need to
Yeah.
find a job. I need to get a job. Oh no, time is ticking. It's been 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, right? And then it's just really easy to get frustrated. And it comes out oftentimes we're frustrated with ourselves, and oftentimes we also see there starts to be tension in the house. So I think just being honest and sometimes also saying, I'm struggling. Because if we don't say
Yeah.
that, did you do that when you were job searching? Were you vocal about, I'm feeling not so great, or I feel really frustrated? Or did you try to keep it in for a while?
I did keep it in for a while because I felt embarrassed that I couldn't get a job because I found it so easy in England. Um, but eventually, when you're chatting, you get to know people, you can sort of say, "Oh, I'm really struggling with this. Oh, let me introduce you to my friend, or to my friend who's a or my sister-in-law was brilliant to get me my a job with her friend. Oh, they're looking for some admin support. Would
Yeah,
you do that?" And I was like, anything, just to do something. So I had those
exactly.
opportunities. Um, because that was my Danish family. And then friends I met through one of the organizations where I volunteered, so it sort of opened doors for me,
Yeah.
which would never have opened. I would have just sat at home on my own,
Yeah. But
wanting to
what
move back.
made you say that the first time? Because I think it's so important. I think it's exactly that. People are ashamed, right?
Yeah,
Why can't I get a job? There's something wrong with me. I don't want to talk about it because
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
shameful. But so what was it for you? When was that moment where you were just like, okay, I'm just, you know what? Yeah, it's hard. I'm struggling. Not saying like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it was after getting that first job, and then I went on maternity leave for a year. And then when I came back and I really couldn't get a job, I think it was just having really good people in my little tiny network that I had saying, "Do you know what? Can you come and help me at work with this small project?"
Mm,
Or my lovely friend who said, "Look, I'm never going to use these Danish lessons. We're going to move in about a year's time. Why don't you take them and help you improve your Danish? Maybe it'll give you more opportunity."
yeah,
And then it took me weeks to knock on the door, Lucinda's door at this organization, say, "Excuse me, but do you think I could teach English?" And she said, "Do you know what? We've got a training program starting next week. Do you want to join?" But it took me 3 weeks. I'd go to the door and go, "No," and run out and just cry, walk down the stairs and just cry, thinking, I don't even know what I can do anymore. So that was that. And then once I'd got training, met lots of other fabulous people on the course and started working again, I got a little bit more confidence back.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think that was a change for me, but that was a good few years in, honestly. Yeah. I'd lost all my confidence.
yeah. And we don't want to get there, right? So,
No, we
and
don't.
I think it's also what we were saying. If you have a community of other
Yeah.
people who get it and they're in the same boat, I think
Yeah.
it's easier to say,
Yeah.
I'm really not, this is hard. I'm so frustrated. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
harder to say it to people who are working, and then we
Yeah.
feel a bit less than, right? We feel,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
You need that safe space to be yourself.
yeah,
We talk about safe space, but honestly, you need to be able to go. And I've had people in workshops, I've had people in my one-to-ones who just sit and cry
yeah,
because they're so frustrated and disappointed. And there's no shame in job searching. And I want people to know there's no shame in that. There's absolutely not. I want to take that away. But just having that place where you can actually just unburden and say, "This is actually how I'm feeling.
yeah.
Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for hearing me." You need that. And there's so many different ways you can find that through different clubs or communities that you can be in. And
Mhm.
so I really hope, and we'll put all of these different things in the comments section for you to find later. Organisations that would be a good fit for you as well, where we can share that the great organisations that we know about here. But just to find somebody who you can just chat to, do
Yeah.
that job search for somebody. It does help you stay motivated. So on the days where you just think, "Oh, what's the point?" If you're in a little WhatsApp group, or you're going to be meeting somebody for that job search little routine at the library on a Thursday, you've got that to look forward to.
And it's also the accountability, right? For some people, it's really important that
Yeah,
that can get them moving, right?
yeah,
Because they know, okay, I do have that meeting. I will be talking about what have I done, where have I applied, right? So I
Yeah.
think it's realizing what it is that you need, knowing yourself, and also being okay with, okay, that's fine if this person is doing that. That's not for me. So we don't have to all do it the same way. We just have
Yeah.
to know what will help me, what will work for me, what tools work for me. Um, and I think that also helps a lot.
Yeah.
So giving it a bit of thought, right? How do I want to do
Yeah.
this job search chapter of my life? What will be helpful? And a lot of us know ourselves already. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, you can try and find a mentor. It
yeah.
could be in your sector, or it could be somebody you admire. Just ask, do you know what? I've been following you on LinkedIn. I love what you talk about. I love what you're doing. Would you have any capacity to mentor me? Just ask the question. They might say, do you know what? No, I don't. I get asked a lot, and I'm already with different organizations doing that with the students. I try and help them get into their first job type of thing. But try and find somebody who you can mentor. Do you know what? Somebody you can just have a half an hour once a month. And when you know you're going to have to check in with them, if
Yep.
they've given you their time, which is worth a fortune, you know you want to do the things that you said you would do.
Yeah,
Yeah, by the end of that time. So you know that
definitely.
you're going to be accountable in that way. But try and find a mentor, somebody who you can get advice from. Um, and people write to me all the time, can you just give me advice on your CV, that type of thing. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I just don't have time for that. So I'm sorry about that for all of you who write to me and say, oh, can you check my LinkedIn banner or whatever? I actually don't have time for that. That's actually something that's my business. But, I do give my time to mentor with the Greater Copenhagen Career
Yeah.
Programme and cross border because I think it's important,
So
especially these
important.
young people coming up, these internationals, to give them as much opportunity as possible. So that's
Definitely.
where I'd give my time for free.
I think for the students, it's also really important if you are an international student, make sure you're checking if the university has any collaborations with companies where you can have a mentor from a corporate sector in your industry.
Yeah,
It can be so helpful. Again, building that
yeah,
network and potentially getting your foot in the door. There's so much out there, but you have to take initiative. So please look
yeah,
if you haven't done that. I know also of great, great initiatives that are out there,
yeah,
and they're available. So please make sure that you're looking. I think sometimes we can get like this when we're job searching, right? And
yeah,
again, being around people, it can open up the horizons because people have tried different things or, oh, have you been there? No, I haven't. Wow, okay. So just being open to information and listening to what's going on. Yeah.
yeah. And the more first connections you have on LinkedIn, the more access you have to their second and third.
Yep.
So they might post about a mentoring program. You think, I did not even know that existed. So the more connections you have, the more opportunity you'll see things that you might have missed.
Yeah.
And I see sometimes they go, oh God, that's a great idea. I didn't know that existed. That would be
Yep.
a great collaboration or a partnership or whatever. So as a business, so as if you're a job seeker, that's a great way to find out what's going on.
Hmm.
And if you're following all the organizations that you like, you're connecting with people who do a similar role, somebody who could be potentially your team, potentially your boss, you're seeing what they talk about. And then you can come in and say, I think I'd be great for that. Or can we have a conversation about it? But it
Exactly.
just opens doors. So that's why LinkedIn is so important here because it's a great professional community where you can really maybe maximize all those opportunities. Yeah.
So now I'm going to go back to, okay, let's pretend that I'm a job searcher. I would say, Lesley,
Yeah.
my goodness, but there's just so much that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do all of these things?
Yeah. And I think it's having structure because I do talk a lot to job seekers, just even this week, actually saying I'm exhausted from all of the different events I have to go to. So, what I would do is put some structure in your day.
Mhm.
It could be 9 to 12, and then you have every afternoon off because you might be going to an event in the evening. So, I would do a plan for the week, plan for the month. What's your
Mhm.
short term strategy and what's your long term strategy? So, you want to be in a job by 1st of May. That could be your long term strategy. Then take a few steps back. So, structure through your day, plan it, half an hour on LinkedIn, half an hour on Job Index, however you want to do that. Go for a walk, have a coffee break, and then have your list of targeted organizations. So you know, okay, between 12 and 1, what I'm going to do is look at the organizations I'm wanting to work in. What are the job opportunities there? or nothing going on this week. So at 2 till 3, my last job is to find any organisations I could do unsolicited. So you have some structure through your day and then look at all of the events coming up and think which one I think it's going to give me the most benefit that I really need to learn about, or who would I have access to. Are there any events where there'd be some great people to talk to that maybe I could have a chat with about the type of thing? And then I think, like Kathy said, don't do this. Well, this is
Mm,
what I've always done. This is the sector I've always worked in. Open it up and think, what are the opportunities now? If I actually want to be working in an area where that's the growth area, if I look at my profile, what could I do to give myself an opportunity? Do you need to upskill, maybe retrain? Where can you find out the information? So you basically have a job search strategy. So it's not just waking up thinking, right, what do I do today? But have
exactly.
some structure and have some plan. And then think, who can you reach out to? Which community is going to help me? Who in my network can help me? Mentor, club, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you can just manage your week so you don't feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or the opposite, lonely because you're doing all this on your
Yeah.
own. Yeah.
I would add two things when you were saying about, being open to potentially other opportunities. Um, Please look into, and we can also talk about that in another episode. Please look into transferable skills. Find out what yours are. Make a list of every possible skill that you have, because that also allows you to have an overview. I think we forget how many skills we have. We also assume a lot of these skills, everyone has them. That is not true. So that can help with also exploring other opportunities, or if you're thinking of transitioning, right, from one career to another. And that also allows you to have a bit more confidence, because then you see, wow, okay, I actually have a lot of skills. I can offer a lot of value. That would be one thing. And then when the weekend comes, I know it can be hard to do and maybe easier said than done, but allow yourself to have some fun. Allow yourself to just recharge. And also, if you don't feel like talking about job search, if you're having dinner with friends, it's okay to say, you know what? This evening, I actually just want to focus on us being together or chatting about something else. I don't really want to chat about my job search. It's okay for you to say that. You don't have to keep answering questions or feeling like, oh, still haven't found a job, right? So that is also part of what is in your control. You can control that. You can control the conversation in the sense that you can say, no, thank you. I don't want to discuss that tonight.
Yeah, we give you permission. We give you permission to say, because honestly, that's the worst. Oh, have you got a job yet? Well, if I had a job, I think I'd tell you.
Exactly. You
Because
would know.
you go to a party or, and that's the first thing everyone wants to talk to you about. It's like, gosh, that's the last thing I want to talk about. So we give you permission to take the weekends off. You don't have to talk about the job search. You can get out the door, go and have some fun.
Yes.
Go and have some fun and just enjoy yourself and try and just leave that job search just for 48 hours over the weekend
Yep.
and come back a little bit more refreshed on the Monday morning. Yeah.
And we'd love to hear how you've done that. Today is Friday. So, as a job searcher, if you are heading into the weekend, after the weekend, leave a comment. Let us know. What did you do? How did you enjoy your weekend? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Do you see that it can also make a difference when Monday morning rolls around? You feel more refreshed. So we'd love to hear from you as always. Please leave comments. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel or Instagram, we would love for you to do so. And spread the word if you find this helpful. Please make sure you check out Leslie's community. I cannot really recommend enough the work that Leslie's doing and everything that's available to all of you. So make sure we'll link also your website and what's coming up so that you can easily access that. And as you said, all the links, things we've talked about, just so it can help you. So we want you to have the tools, we want you to thrive, and we're definitely cheering for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a super week and we'll be back soon.
Back soon. Thanks so much.